Hope my PPT is visible.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so the last topic we are left with is the ideal gas equation of state. This is what we are going to cover in this particular lecture, in today's lecture. Uh, and this would be the concluding topic for this particular chapter known as phase, uh, pure substance and phase change. Okay, and next we would take up with uh, energy analysis of closed system. That would be my next chapter. So I will try to conclude this particular topic that is left with us. So let's start with, so you guys might have already studied this ideal gas equation of uh, for this ideal gas equation in your 10th or 12th. So essentially the equation of state is defined as uh, any equation. Please mute yourself, guys. Any equation that relates the pressure, temperature, and specific volume of substance is called equation of state. So that is, this equation of state is basically the relation between pressure, temperature, and specific volume. But you can actually argue that अभी तक हम लोग क्या कर रहे थे? What we were doing uh, is the same thing almost. This we are looking at and doing the analysis during this. Why can't we estimate the state using my ideal gas law? So yes, the reason being the vapor or the liquid vapor or those substances that doesn't follow the ideal gas equations, because uh, we will uh, we will quickly go through one concept called compressibility, and we can see that the compressibility factor, there are two things, ideal gases and real gases. Okay, so vapor, water vapor doesn't follow the ideal gas uh, equation of state. The reason being its compressibility factor is higher, or not as good as ideal gas, where it is 1. We will see in a while. So that is why we need to also look into the ideal gas equations. Uh, okay, so first of all, in 1662, to Robert Boyle, this Englishman, observed during his experiments with a vacuum chamber that pressure of gases are inversely proportional to their volume. So what he concluded, listen, pressure was inversely proportional to specific volume. And another researcher, Charles and Hale research, they determined that at lower pressures, volume of gas is proportional to its temperature. Specific volume is proportional to total pressure. So you can actually sum up these two, and we can have
Sir, your volume is very low.
very low. Okay, that is what I asked, because
Sir,
I'm
actually, when you were typing, it became very low. But
okay,
when
okay.
you are not typing, it was okay.
Let me try with my headphone. Let me try that.
Okay, sir.
Ignite. Okay, that is the issue.
Sir, till what date will you take this lecture from your home?
So till 1 week they have emailed us. Till 1 week.
Sir, when will college will respond?
That is still uncertain because COVID cases are increasing day by day.
Is that COVID in college?
What?
मतलब
Are
कॉलेज में
there
केसेस है?
corona cases in college?
हाँ, बढ़ गए हैं। स्टाफ्स को भी, कई स्टाफ्स को हो चुके हैं और
Okay.
फैकल्टीज को भी हुए हैं कुछ।
Okay.
तो क्या हो रहा है, दिन पर दिन बढ़ता जा रहा है। इसीलिए हम लोग को अभी बोल दिए आप लोग घर से ही पढ़ाइए। अच्छा अभी कैसा है? अभी रुको,
Now
लिखने
it's
तो
okay.
फिर बताना।
Yes.
अभी कैसा है लिखते वक्त? हेलो हेलो हेलो, इज इट माय ऑडियो इज गेटिंग lowered?
Yes, sir. No, sir. It's okay.
No, sir. No, sir.
It's
It's okay.
It's all right.
it's fairly okay as compared to the previous one.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, then I can go ahead. So what we can do, we can club these two relations that that these two guys have found out experimentally. Pressure is inversely proportional to volume, and volume is directly proportional to T. So what we can come up with this, PV is proportional to T. So PV. So here you can say that PV is proportional to, since this is proportional to T, and this proportionality can be get rid with some constant. So some constant appeared here. So this is your final expression, where P is your absolute pressure. Let me write in this fashion. Wait. Wait a second. Okay, so P is the absolute pressure. So what do you mean by absolute pressure? There are gauge pressures, atmospheric pressure. So from absolute vacuum or zero, how far it is from vacuum, that is called absolute pressure. Okay, absolutely. So this pressure is absolute pressure, not the, so this is, let's suppose this is P ATM. Above it, whatever things happens, we call it P gauge. Okay, so an absolute will be the sum of atmosphere plus gauge. So from essentially from 0 Pascal, how much it is, how far it is from 0 Pascal or vacuum. And this V is the specific volume that we have already talked about. T is again the absolute temperature. Absolute temperature. And what is that absolute temperature? So absolute temperature is 0 Kelvin. I'm really sorry. 0 Kelvin. 0 degree Kelvin is called absolute temperature. And this R is called the characteristics or the gas constant or the characteristic gas constant. It is not the universal one. You have to keep in mind, because this this particular thing is so confusing. I mean, even my BTech also, I was a little bit confused what R it was. So actually this was not the universal gas constant that you talk about. It is actually characteristics gas constant. Okay, and characteristic gas constant is actually substance dependent. And this characteristic gas constant is also sometimes written as R bar or RC or something. So R bar is nothing but universal gas constant divided by the molecular weight of the substance. Right. So this R is now, or RU to be precise, RU. So RU is the universal gas constant. And molecular weight, and this is, you will find the characteristic gas constant. So there are other structures of this particular equation. So we have P. Let's suppose I will take another. Let's suppose I want to take some other color. Okay, so we have PV is equal to, sorry, PV is equal to capital R of T. Okay, and the usual units you should keep in mind, usual units. So the universal gas constant unit, I mean, this is more of widely used, 8.31 kilojoule per kilomole Kelvin. This is we're going to remember, and this is universally constant for all the substances, and we divide it with the particular gas we are considering, the molecular weight of the gas that we are considering, and then we'll find the characteristic gas constant or the gas constant. Yes, normal gas constant. Okay, what's happening? Okay. Okay, there are some other structures for this. So PV. So PV. So V is nothing but so can I write capital V by M is equal to RT, or PV is equal to MRT. This is one other structure you might have seen in your textbooks. So this is actually the overall total volume, not the specific volume. Keep in mind, these two formulas are having different structures. So here it is specific volume, here it is total volume, but mass of the gas has been multiplied with R. So this is one way to write. This is second way to write. Thirdly, I can write in number of moles. So what is my number of moles? Let's suppose decide it with decide my N is the number of moles. So number of moles is this, what we studied, weight by molecular weight, right? Now what I can do, this mass I can write number of moles times molecular weight. So keep in mind, mass I am denoting with small m, molecular weight I am denoting with capital M, right? So this mass can be substituted here, and we can write something more of our sort, our what we remember in few days back in our school days. PV is equal to N M capital R T. Now this MR can be clubbed. MR can be clubbed, and we can write P capital V is equal to N number of moles, and this is now MR is equal to RU, universal gas constant, and T. And this is how PV is equal to nRT we used to study in our schools, if you remember. And this is what were widely used. So this is total volume, this is number of moles, this is universal gas constant, it is now absolute temperature and absolute pressure. So this was very widely used in school days. Now we will be using this much frequently in some sense, or maybe all of three equally, you can say. Okay? Am I clear enough or audible enough? Any doubt?
No, sir, no doubt.
Okay, good. So we can go to the next slide, and we can see that I already have one problem also for you guys. So determine the mass of air in room whose dimension are 4 cross 5 cross 6, 4 cross 6 cross 5 at 10 kilopascal and 25 degrees C. So determine the mass. So how do you calculate? I will give you 2 minutes to calculate it with your previous formulas, or what we have studied, the ideal gas equation. So who will tell me?
Sir, can you show the question?
Okay, question is this. You can take a screenshot if you want. Determine the mass of air in a room whose dimension is 4 cross 5 cross 6 meter cube at 100 kilopascal and 25 degree C. So remember all the units, you should keep in mind all the units should be proper. So who will tell me?
Sir, the value of R will be
Done, sir.
0.287 into 10 raised to 3
Oh,
joule
great.
per kg Kelvin.
Okay, I don't have the answer right now.
Sir, if that is the thing, then answer is M is equal to 140.3 kg.
Yes, sir. 140.3.
Okay, I assume that
Okay.
you guys have done correctly. Then let me. Okay, nothing more in it. So volume. So we are asked M is equal to what, and total volume is given something. Let's suppose 4 cross 5 cross 6. You'll find something. Pressure is given. So this is straightforward, kilopascal, and temperature. Sorry.
Temperature is 298 Kelvin.
Thank you. So since I've already told it was in Kelvin, so we need to convert it. So 25 plus 273, you will get something in degree Kelvin, and then you can actually apply PV is equal to or
MRT.
Sir, in Kelvin we don't use the degree.
Thank you. Who told that? Thank you.
Sir,
So
Vivek.
thank you, Vivek. Full name?
Vivek Panchal.
Okay, so 295 if it is there, so we don't actually write degree Kelvin. Somehow it was a customary that we have removed this degree sign somehow in the subsequent years. We actually removed this. Okay, so PV small is equal to, or PV is equal to MRT. So this is characteristics, right? Not the universal, and this is capital volume. So M you can actually PV by R and T. You can actually calculate this. So all sorts of numericals you can actually do that, and you can estimate your mass of the air. Again, you should ask me why I have considered air as ideal gas. So in order to do that, what we have something called, before moving to this slide, we can actually look into something called compressibility factor. So this is how we are going to, this is a measure of deviation from ideal gas behavior. So I can estimate my estimate that any gas, how much it should deviate from ideal gas behavior, and it should be governed by this particular compressibility factor. And what is that? So compressibility factor Z is defined as the ratio of PV divided by RT, and this is specific volume. Okay, and it falls into, we will do experimentally. Okay, and if it falls into Z is equal to 1, we call it ideal gas, and if it falls between any of these other than 1, it is actually real gas. So real means real, ideal means ideal kuch hota nahi hai. It's like perfect. So perfect doesn't happen, but for to use the formula we have, we are going to apply the formula for these condition only, not these conditions. Okay, so that is what tell me.
In the real gas part, it is also given Z equal to 1, but it is also for the ideal gas.
So real gases can be ideal gases, obviously. Real gases, all real gases could be ideal gases. It's like you have a Venn diagram. So you have a universal thing, ideal gas, and you will have something called real gas. It's kind of something like this. So all real gases fall into ideal gases, but not all ideal gases fall into real gases. You can say that. Or am I doing something wrong? So essentially all the day-to-day life, anything, will call it as a real gas. But if your Z comes out to be 1, it is actually real gas, but it also falls under ideal gas. That should we stick into that, something like this. Okay, the deviation from ideal gas behavior at given temperature and pressure can be accurately accounted for by the introduction of correction factor called compressibility factor. This is what we have introduced. Okay, we'll talk more about how we have come up with the analysis of this gases, because gases behave differently at given temperature and pressure, all the gases, but they behave very much as the same temperature and pressure normalized with respect to their critical temperatures and pressures. So what researchers have found that if we divide its pressure with the critical pressure of the same gas, we come up with something called reduced pressure or reduced temperature. If we divide temperature by critical temperature of the same gas. Okay, so we come up with two quantities called reduced pressure and reduced temperatures. And what researchers have found out that the jet factor for all the gases is approximately same at same reduced pressure and temperatures. This is called the principle of corresponding states. So what they did, they plotted reduced pressure and the compressibility factor at constant reduced temperatures. So for all these gases, what they see that all these gases fall under same line. It means the reduced pressure and temperature, the plot, this plot, let's suppose this is plot I am talking about, this plot behaves equally for all the gases in some sense. So I have a common platform to analyze my deviation. Okay, this was a good thing. This was a good you can say practice or calculation did by researchers. Are you getting this? So reduced pressure versus compressibility factor इन्होंने plot किया all gases का. So किसी एक reduced pressure पे this, let's fix TR is equal to 2. Let's suppose TR is equal to 2. For all the gases, they saw that it follows the same trend. It means your triangle, your circle, your square, your dot, your filled square, all the things came under same line. Okay, now they have 2 3 yes 2 3 what you can say a conclusion. They concluded something. What they concluded, at lower pressure, at lower reduced pressure, at lower, so this is your lower region, all this side left hand side is lower reduced pressure region. At lower pressure all the gases behave ideally. So this they have concluded first. So first conclusion was at lower reduced pressures all the gases behave ideally because they are close to 1. Are you see this? Second thing, what they told that, so it was irrespective of temperatures, right? No matter what temperature you took, at lower pressures all things were close to 1. So all things were ideal. So at low pressure gases behave in ideal regardless of temperature. This is what they have concluded. Second thing, at high temperature ideal gas behavior can be assumed with good accuracy regardless of pressure except PR is equal to 1. So what in here what they concluded, at higher temperatures means this value, this is higher, if this is something, so this is higher means this is higher. So at higher, so let's suppose this particular graph is talking about, and okay, these plots as well, because this is all these are at higher temperature values. Okay, so these higher temperature values, what they told, except at 1, PR is equal to 1, it means at critical pressure at this particular, you will have some sort of jump. Otherwise, you can actually estimate that it almost follows. So you can see it always goes like this. So it falls somewhere 0.7, 0.8, 0.9. So you can ideal gas equation can be fairly approximated for these cases also. So that is what has been written in the second statement as well. And the last critical thing was written that the deviation of gas from ideal gas behavior is greatest in the vicinity of critical point, and that it is obvious also. At vicinity there is a jump. Okay, at vicinity of the critical pressure where it is coming 1, there is a jump. So this is what they have estimated. Okay, now we can go to this particular question that we have asked previously as well. Is water vapor an ideal gas? So when the compressibility factor, so here maybe this is my temperature and this is my specific volume, and these isolines are essentially, 1 minute, probably this is the, these isolines are these numbers, 1 minute, are essentially the percentage error. This is essentially the percentage, I didn't mention it. So these small numbers, these are basically the percentage error, which is V table minus V ideal divided by V table, जो कि table से मुझे मिलता, times 100. So essentially it's a volume error that we got it from table to the ideal. Where should we calculate? PV is equal to nRT से, ठीक है? वो जब calculation किया गया, that error is being written over here. Okay, at that particular state, मतलब हम यहाँ पे 10 पे गए और 11 पे गए और इस टेम्परेचर पे गए, वहाँ पे मैं स्पेसिफिक वॉल्यूम कैलकुलेट किया from table and ideally also, and then we calculate the error, and we see that in this particular region, in this red region, there is no deviation or there are no errors. Okay, so it means we can fairly assume in this particular region the things are ideal, and we can actually, if your water vapor is in superheated state, superheated and pressure is low means downside. Okay, even these are in superheated state, but it is not ideal because pressure is fairly high, 5 megapascal. So if your pressure is low, 0.8, 10, 100, you can fairly assume things are, and two things, if the pressure is low and it is superheated, you can actually fairly assume that your water vapor is an ideal gas. So this is what it is written here. In steam power plant applications, however, the pressure involves are usually high. Therefore, the ideal gas ratio should not be used because the pressures involves are high. But in air conditioning application, the water vapor as an air can be treated as an ideal gas with essentially no, since the pressure of the water vapor is very low. Okay, so no matter what you do, if your pressure is fairly low, you can actually assume that, and things are in vapor phase, you can actually take it as an ideal gas. And if you move in this region, you cannot take it as a ideal gas, you cannot apply. So you need to seek the table. So all these things here you need to have from table, and here you can actually estimate from ideal gas law as well. Okay. So these are the questions asked. So when I was giving my interview at IIT Kharagpur, I think it was 2010. I did my masters from IIT Kharagpur. They actually asked this question to me, but I was not able to answer this question. But now I can. After that I learned a lot, and then I'm teaching you guys. I mean, but that time, yeah, unfortunately that time I didn't know this. Yes, it happens. Okay, next thing. Next thing I want to tell you guys that there are other equation of states as well. So PV is equal to, apart from PV is equal to RT, there are other equation states as well. Some researchers have given few other formulas based on their experiments, based on their shortcomings. So the most widely used is van der Waals equation of state, which is written as follows. So what they have did here, at with pressure they have added some term, and in volume they have subtracted some term. So these constants were the correction factors, you can say corrections for the ideal gas law, and these were pretty accurate. So in later years they have deduced this. So, and what are these two, a by v square and b? So van der Waals intended to improve the ideal gas law state by including two effects not considering the ideal gas model: the intermolecular attraction force and the volume occupied by the molecule themselves. So intermolecular attraction force of the gases were kind of left out when the ideal gas equation were deduced. So what van der Waals has done, they have incorporated the intermolecular attraction forces as well in the formula, and volume occupied the molecules themselves. That was the correction that was included by van der Waals. The term A by V square accounts for the intermolecular force, and it has usual units. I don't want to go into details because this is not. We are not going to widely use these things. We just have to know these things, that these things are there. So, and B accounts for the volume occupied by the gas molecule in a room at atmospheric pressure. Okay, maybe. Okay, other equation states were also given, such as V real equation state. So in this manner, they have actually they have added the series of terms in this manner, and they have estimated that this is more close to this and this one. Beatty Bridgman equation of state is also given. So we are not going to study in detail because these things are not so if you go, obviously if you go into the complex thermodynamic analysis, then you would be using it, but otherwise ideal gas laws can be fairly used if things are under proper assumptions, right? Okay, next, this is the last concept I want to talk about in this particular chapter, which is called vapor pressure. So vapor pressure is defined as so before I need to define the vapor pressure. So what atmospheric pressures are actually is the pressure of individual gases. So let's suppose I have a container. This is my container. It has dry air and some water vapors are also there. Water vapor molecules are also there. So if you measure the pressure from some sort of measuring devices such as barometer, so it tells you about let's suppose it tells some pressure. Okay, so basically this pressure is nothing but the addition of atmospheric pressure and the pressure of the water vapor, water molecules that are there in vapor phase. So this is your dry air pressure, and this is your pressure due to water vapor. So if you collect atmospheric air, you will actually get 2 to 3% of by volume water vapor will be present there at any given of a moment of time. So this is very low, but still, so this is actually called the partial pressure, Dalton's law of partial pressure, where we estimate this. Okay, so that was given by Dalton. He told that whatever gases that are present there, if you sum up all the individual pressures of all the individual gases, it will give you the overall pressure. That is where it come from. So this particular thing is called vapor pressure also. Okay. It has a major impact on thermal comfort and many more processes such as drying. So your clothes dries in the dry environment. So where the vapor pressure has a large implication on this, on the drying of your clothes. So if you will see that in the rainy days, if the atmosphere is humid, you don't have it would take longer to dry the cloth. Why is it so? Let's suppose I'll take an example. Oh, I'm sorry. Let's suppose I have a water over here, and I have a cloth that is hanging over here, or to be precise, what you say. Okay, let's not take right now. Okay, so basically what's happening here, at the atmosphere will have certain temperature. Okay, and this water, liquid water, continuously vaporizes and constitute and be a part of the environment. And this sometimes this again come back and be a part of water. So this process continuously goes up and down. Okay, and things will stop when equilibrium achieves. So this is how it's kind of mass transfer that is happening from liquid water to the environment. And this process, this going up and going down, largely depends upon the saturation pressure of the surrounding air. Why? Let me go tell you in more detailed manner what's happening here. So saturation pressure of surrounding. So okay, one more thing I need to define. Okay, so let me define one more thing, that is called relative humidity. Okay, it means how much, basically I'm going in towards the step of understanding of how much humid your environment is. It means how much vapor is present in the environment. Okay, that is how your humidity can be thought of. Okay, so there is a term called relative humidity, which is defined as, so we represent it with phi, and which is defined as the ratio of amount of vapor, water vapor, that is present in the atmosphere or in certain enclosure or somewhere, amount of water vapor divided by maximum amount of water vapor it can accommodate or contain. So what does it mean? Right now you have some amount of water vapor. This is at particular temperature. At particular temperature I am talking only. So at this particular temperature, I have some amount of water vapor, And I know also from our vapor dome plot that it can actually accommodate some more amount of or some less amount of some maximum amount of water vapor at that temperature. And this is also called saturation pressure at that temperature. And this is your vapor pressure. Sorry, this is your vapor pressure. So vapor pressure of your individual what you are considering, and if you divide it with the saturation pressure of the same substance at that temperature, which allows you to give accommodate the maximum amount of water vapor, the ratio of which is called relative humidity. Okay, now let's understand this here. Let's suppose it can let's suppose my relative humidity is 1. Let's suppose my phi is equal to 1. What does it mean? It means your vapor pressure will be equal to the saturation pressure at that particular temperature. Obviously, if we increase or decrease the temperature, obviously this P also increase or decrease. Okay, that is different thing. But right now I am talking about if my relative humidity is 1, basically your water vapor is nothing but the saturation pressure of that substance at that particular temperature. Okay, so let's suppose here if you want to dry your cloth, if you want to dry your cloth in an environment where relative humidity is 1, it will never going to dry. Why? Because the layer since these are water molecules, the water molecules will not escape into the environment, because environment has already reached a maximum amount of water vapor it can contain, because it is at saturation pressure. Okay, it has already saturated it. The water vapors in the environment has already accommodated all the water vapors, because my phi is 1. That is why I am telling. Okay, so it cannot actually, mass transfer will not occur at this particular sense. Okay, so this has very large implication. Maybe we could take some examples. We don't have much time. We could take one example from here to understand it better. What is the vapor pressure of air at 25 degrees C and 60% of relative humidity? It is given that my phi is equal to 60%. Okay, and my temperature is equal to 25 degrees C. So what is my water vapor pressure of air? So how do we calculate that? So 60% means, so we have told that phi is equal to
0.6
PV by P sat of the same thing at the rate same temperature T is equal to 25 डिग्री C पे हम क्या करेंगे, वाटर का सैचुरेशन प्रेशर देखेंगे कितना होता है और मल्टीप्लाई कर देंगे phi से, and that will give me the actual vapor pressure of the air. Okay, so you can do that at home, but this example, this is a very good example. So in a summer day, air temperature over the lake is measured to be 25 degrees C. Determine the water temperature of the lake when the phase equilibrium conditions are established between the water and the lake, and the vapor is in the air for relative humidity of 10, 80 and 100% of air. So if you see that when you take this 10 relative humidity as 10, you will actually, what you will see that your lake is about to freeze. This relative humidity has so large implication on atmosphere and our comfort and everything. Lake is about to freeze. It means the temperature, it could go at this particular 10, go -4 or 5 degree. if I'm not wrong, degree C minus. It go up till that down, but really it didn't happen because again, because of convection, conduction, and all those things, the heat transfer takes place, and this doesn't actually occur. But yes, in controlled environment, if you do the experiment and if you actually if you have the relative humidity of 10% in the atmosphere, the lake or if you do it in controlled environment, you can actually form the ice over here. So these are the things that we can actually go into the details. Maybe I will take more on this maybe in the future chapters when I come to, but so far you have to just stick with the concept of relative humidity and the vapor pressure and the saturation temperature and all those things. That's it. Okay. So this is, so yeah, that concludes my the previous chapter. And the next chapter, what we can start is the energy analysis of closed system. So what is my closed system again? Just to recapitulate, I have an enclosure through which the heat can come and go, but the mass cannot. This is how your closed system is defined. Just to recapitulate the things, and this particular system we are going to consider, and we are going to analyze the energy analysis and all those things in this particular chapter. Okay, with this I'll conclude the session. And before that, sorry, let me take the attendance. Let me okay, I got the attendance. And yes, any questions? Hello.
No, sir.
Okay, okay, then we can leave now then.
Practical class is there?
प्रैक्टिकल क्लास होना चाहिए. अभिनय सर बोले थोड़ा लेट हो जाएंगे वो, पर होना चाहिए. और एक्चुअली में प्रॉब्लम ये हो गया कि चूंकि अब हम लोग कैंपस नहीं जा पा रहे हैं, सो व्हाट वी प्रॉमिस दैट वी विल गो द रियल लैब एक्सपेरिमेंट्स, वी कैन नॉट डू इट राइट नाउ. सो लेट्स बियर विद द सिचुएशन. ठीक है. और मे बी इंटरनल असेसमेंट का क्या होगा, आई विल टॉक वाया ईमेल और विल सी. हाँ, ठीक है. Or maybe let me ask Abhinaya sir what's his update, because he told something.
Yes.
Maybe
Yes, sir.
let me
You
ask.
can update us now only.
हाँ.
Yes.
Okay. What he told, because I mean he is also into some sort of panel or something meeting. So he told that he will not be going to engage the lab today. So he suggested me to take something, or you guys suggest me what to do. Hello.
Yes, sir.
You guys suggest me what to do. So maybe we'll come there. We'll talk maybe 5 to 10 minutes, and then we can leave, so that officially something happened.
Okay,
It
sir.
should not be null. है ना?
Okay, sir.
We'll meet there, and we'll talk there. Okay.
Okay,
Let's
sir.
come
We are
there.
meeting over there.
Just for maybe for 10 minutes or
Okay,
5
sir.
minutes, 10 minutes. Okay.